glitchy this morning. So with that, welcome. Today is the Product Business Show. I'm Amy Winslow, your hostess. From Products to Profits is our company name. And if you're new to the calls, this is our gift to you. This is a way for us to serve more people, and whether you're a client or not a client, or considering it, it's all the same to us. We want you to take away as much as you can from today. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about essential simplicity and what that idea is and how it serves you, your financial freedom, and your business growth. Then I'm also leaving some time at the end of the conversation for you to answer questions and things. So you'll be able to ask them from online as well as the Facebook Live and the phone lines. Okay, so everybody should be able to hear me now. Let's just double check one thing. I'm seeing a note from somebody on Facebook that they're having a hard time hearing us. Hopefully that fixes any issue that you're having. If you're on the Facebook Live, just type a comment so that I know that you can hear me. So these are, like I said, our gift to you. And when you are looking at doing a product, it's very different than a service business. We run a service business in service of product businesses, and I've been in the product industries for over 23, 24 years. So it's really important for you to understand that there's a difference between a service business and a product business. There are a great many coaches and mentors that work on businesses, but they don't specialize in product businesses. So all of that said, when we come to asking questions, I want you to ask the question that's going to serve you and move you forward in your business. And also, if you have not already filed for a patent, this would qualify as public disclosure of an invention. So you could void your rights to file for a patent if you give away your secret magic something or other. So I will let you know if that seems to be an area you're straying into. So this idea of essential simplicity is really, really important right now. And wow, even when I said it, I just felt my stomach do a little flip. For anybody who doesn't know this already, I'm actually very intuitive about products and about business, and it's really important to me that our company leaves people better than we found them, for one thing, and that we operate in a way that's good for people, pets, and planet. And so this idea of simplicity has been rattling around in my bones all year. And with everything that's going on in our political landscape and our I'll just say it, in the natural disasters, the political landscape, our personal lives, there's a lot of opportunity for a really tumultuous energy to come in, and a really kind of bright, shiny object syndrome can happen too, where you hear, oh, great marketing strategy over here and another one over there. And all of a sudden you're piling in all of these things, thinking you have to do them all and you have to master them all. And it can get really chaotic really fast if you aren't vigilant about it. So in terms of being vigilant, I mean discerning, okay? You have to be discerning about the energy that you are paying attention to, for one thing, and managing your own energy for another. So what is essential simplicity? For me, it's distilling things down to their essential core elements. And for anybody who's on our email list, you saw in this morning's announcement the Albert Einstein quote, and it's this: everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. And that means as simple as possible without losing the heart of what it is or the intention behind it. So there is this idea of simplicity in service to mission, in service to purpose in the world, and in service to your product design, etc. So essential simplicity is a concept that goes over our personal lives, our business lives, as well as our product designs. So when you are looking at a product design and it has a lot of bells and whistles to it, or a software that has like every feature in the world you could possibly imagine, but you're only using 10% of it, then that software got bloated, right? It's the same thing as happens to our bedroom closets if we don't clean them out. They get bloated and they get all this extraneous stuff in there that in the coding world would be called spaghetti code, meaning this fix on top of that fix on top of this other thing, and it gets so that there's a muddled mess, like a tangled ball of yarn inside the code. Okay, so it's really important across every kind of project, every kind of business, and I believe our personal lives, to occasionally clean house and get back to this idea of essential simplicity. So why is that so important? Essential simplicity is a way to move forward after a problem, a threat, or a trauma. So if you lost a loved one, like when my mom passed away a couple of years ago, there is a fundamental change to kind of the fabric of your life. And part of our body's natural instinct is to take a pause and strip away everything extraneous to get to the core of what we're about, right? And the hurricanes, the earthquakes, the etc. actually did the same thing. If you watched, people were about survival, they were about safety, and rightfully so. So this idea of getting to the simplicity of something, to the kernel of it, it gives you a way to move forward if you've had a problem, an upset, or a threat, okay? It also builds a strong foundation. So when you have strong, basic, simple elements, it's very grounding for your business and allows you a great platform to move forward, right? You're not distracted by a bunch of extra campaigns in your software for your marketing. You're not distracted by lots of quality control issues because the basics are handled really well. It also improves your mobility and responsiveness to upcoming trends and different situations that can happen and arise in a business. So it's really important. When it comes to your financial life, essential simplicity would be handling all your basics of your finances and paying down your debt as much as possible on anything that is straight up consumer debt that is not related to building an asset called a business or an investment. For anybody who has been following me very long, you know that I play cash flow. And I've recently adopted some new strategies around cash flow, and paying down debt is a really important one, balanced with what you're investing and making your investments wisely. So if you are investing in expertise in a project, then you're investing in speed, which is really important. If you are investing in, a big screen TV and your business has nothing to do with big screen TVs, then you might want to rethink that and say, hey, let's not do that, because it's not really an investment unless it invests in your relationship and your family life. So you got to really pay attention. So let's look at some examples of essential simplicity in personal life, and then we're going to talk about business life and areas that you have to attend to as essential core building blocks in your business, okay? So in personal, the easiest thing to think of is clearing out closets and garages. The reason is that every time you move through a space and there's extraneous stuff in it, in your way, you end up kind of walking like you're pretzelizing, and you're just kind of moving through the space, and you have to contort into a different shape to get through it energetically. It's actually very draining, and you want to have speed as you move through things, okay? I'm seeing it on our Facebook Live. We're getting lots of hearts and likes on that one. I think they liked the little pretzelizing, contorting dance that I just did. But pretzelizing is my phrase for any way that you contort yourself to get through or around something that's in an inauthentic way, okay? So the other thing that you have to immediately look at is your self-care. A lot of people, self-care goes right out the window as soon as they've got lots of things that they feel like they should be doing or paying attention to. like, oh, I should do this, or oh, I have to learn that, or oh, and you throw out the self-care of having a really peaceful meal or having the time to work out, etc. So you have to pay attention to your self-care because it actually is one of the building blocks that allows you to feel peaceful and allows you to feel ease in your life. One of the other things that's really important for your personal side when it gets to simplicity is to get in relationship with the numbers of your life, okay? Your personal finances, get in relationship with them. Start using Quicken, start using Microsoft Money, any of the softwares, or write it down and really pay attention and be grounded in what you're actually doing in your financial life, and you'll get some very eye-opening things happening there. It doesn't have to be a budget. You can call it a spending plan. You can call it a money use plan if that's better for you. A lot of people have energy around budget, but this idea of essential simplicity is get rid of the things that are not currently supporting a current goal or a future goal. And by things, I also mean ways of being. Like if you are being judgmental, critical, harsh with yourself or others, that's not going to really support you necessarily in moving forward and creating great relationships with them. You've got to do the work to get rid of those, okay? Now, in your business, the places that you immediately want to look to simplify: email processes. This is a really big one. Most people don't ever set up email rules about how to handle their email. I had made mine overly complex. It had gotten bloated. There were a lot of client folders, a bunch of places to look for communications. There were too many email addresses. There were some unpublished email addresses that accidentally got out somehow in the world. I was getting a lot of spam on them. It was starting to creep in. And so when you are simplifying, you want to unsubscribe from any list you do not pay attention to. So if you're on this and you're hearing my voice, you pay attention to this list. Stay on it. It serves you, right? If you are on a list that is old, or you're on it because it was your best friend's thing from like 10 years ago, unsubscribe. Don't have to report it as spam, just unsubscribe. Do yourself the favor of getting the mental space, because nothing more can come in when you're overwhelmed, okay? And the energy that you have around your email box is really important. If you feel overwhelmed every time you look at it, you're not going to want to look at it, okay? You have to purge that down. I really recommend 4 to 5 folders max. This is some new things that we've done. A folder marked today, and anything that you have to handle today that cannot wait, like you would do it at 10 o'clock at night if you had to, or 11 o'clock at night, goes in the today folder. You must respond to it by the end of the day. This week's folder, so today, this week, this month, and an FYI. FYI is for anything that you want to find later. Like we keep our client folders in the FYI category. So anything that is not a current request from them is in a folder in the FYI, right? Until we archive it. But if it's something that we need to answer them on, or we need to think about or take action on, it's in our today folder. It's in our this week folder, depending on the timeline, okay? We found that that's much more fluid and a much simpler way. Your inbox is not the place to store your emails. Do not do that. It's been proven that that's actually one of the worst things you can do related to email. I have more suggestions about email if anybody wants them when we come to it. But in your business, getting your email process to be supportive is one of the biggest freeing things that you can do. The other area to look is old leads. If you are holding on to old leads from 3 years ago, thinking that they're going to buy, they might buy, whatever, send them Dean Jackson's 9-word email and be done with it and move on. The 9-word email, I could talk more about that if anybody wants it. Gaps in customer service is another place to look at your business processes. If you have a bloated consumer product process. Like say it requires them calling you to activate something afterwards, or they have to look for ways to simplify, okay? Simplification is really important. Like for all of our consulting clients, we just put together a web page that'll be a private page where they can do all their scheduling, they can access everything. So it's going to be very cohesive, and it'll be in one place. In our product success program, we're in the process of the same thing. Like all the planning templates on that are already on that page. Video tutorials for every template will be there. The access to schedule their appointments, to connect with the team, all of these pieces will all be in that one page area for them, because it gives them a sense of security and safety, okay? So when you're looking at your business processes, look at any gaps in customer service, gaps in email, any gaps that you can think of where you're not meeting quite what you would want to do. The other area to look in simplification for your business is your what are called KPIs. That's key performance indicators. Simple language, know your numbers, right? If you are about a goal of sales, know your sales number. If you're about subscribers to a list, know the number for that, okay? Do not measure too many key performance indicators, because you'll get bogged down in measuring stuff rather than producing results. But you should have at least probably 2 to 3 KPIs that you're tracking, okay? And you want to look at any marketing messages or marketing programs that you're doing and look at their performance and eliminate everything that's not working or upgrade it so it does, okay? So the areas that you want to attend to for simplification in any business are going to be a good product for a product business, a good list of buying prospects, right? A good offer and good delivery. Those are the 4 basic elements that you have to have in a business, okay? And they're actually very simple, so I'm going to go over them again. A good product, a good list of buyers or prospects, a good offer, and good delivery, okay? That means good service on the back end. Those 4 things are what you have to master, okay? Some of the other stuff that's out there right now is bells and whistles on top of that. Okay, so 4 things, those 4 areas, if you master those, you can grow your company. Okay, so just before we take some questions, I'm gonna give you a couple how-to things. Okay, so how the heck do you start simplifying, right? Like, if you're watching on Facebook, click a couple hearts if that's the question that you're in. Like, how on earth do I start simplifying? It's like, so big, right? So you start with 3 clear written goals, okay? Just 3. You can even pick one area of your business or one area of your home or one drawer. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. It's really important to start clearing out the clutter, the extraneous processes, the overbuilt things that you have, the expectations or shoulds or woulds or coulds, right? So if you're in the product development stage, you want to focus on, okay, get a good product. What do I need to do to get a good product done? If you're in the sales side and you have a big list but nobody's buying, you got to focus on get a good offer, right? Get a good offer out there. And a good offer means that it fits with your market, okay? If you're getting a lot of customer service complaints, your delivery is wrong or your message is off. Okay, so that's kind of how you're going to start. So start with 3 clear written goals, and then take a sheet of paper and write a list of 1 to 2 minute actions that you can do towards that goal. Just 1 to 2 minute actions. Maybe take 10 minutes, brainstorm it, write it down, okay? Because if you have a list, you can actually look when you've got a minute or 2 and go, oh, I can do that right now. Oh, I can do that. Whether it's put a paper clip away or throw a piece of clothing in a Goodwill bag, it doesn't matter. If it's in your business, it's, okay, how can I unsubscribe from a couple emails? How can I just dash off this response on something because they just need a quick answer on it? All right. So a list of 1 to 2 minute actions on every one of the 3 clear written goals that you have, and then do 5 minutes of action on each of those 3 goals per day. And that will go a long way towards clearing the decks, right? But I want you to only put those 3 goals in one of those 4 areas to attend to. So a goal in good product, good list, good delivery, and good offer. Like maybe you pick 3 of those and you put a goal in each of them. But just give yourself the gift of not having to do it all today. Okay? That is the biggest thing. And especially if you are in one of the areas that's affected by the hurricanes, the earthquakes, or you're having your own personal hurricane moment, loss of a loved one, or just feeling overwhelmed, give yourself the gift of picking one or 2 minute action and do that in excellence, okay? It will move you a long way towards getting out of the overwhelm and into a simpler way of being in the world with your business and with your life. So with that, I'm going to open up and take some questions. I see that we've got Ariane Ramzan asking for the 9-word email. This email is awesome. Some of you have received it from us. It is from Dean Jackson, and the 9-word email is this. On the subject line, you say the person's first name. That's it. And then in the body of the email, you say, "Hi, Ariane. Are you still interested in?" And then you just write 1 or 2 words about whatever it was you were talking about. So in our case, it would be, "Are you still interested in building your product business? Amy." And there's no other signature line. There's nothing else to it. It's a very, very simple, clean email. Do not put a fancy signature line. Do not put your website. Do not put any of that. That email is to just get clear about whether they're still on the field, they moved on to some other solution, or they've put the project on hold, or they want to talk to you. When we first sent that out to about 12 people, I think it was, we got our first responses to it in about 5 minutes. And they were like, "Yes, what do you have in mind? Yes, why do you ask? No, I put that on the back burner. No, I stopped doing that because I saw a competitor. No." So you just want yes or no's, okay? So that's the 9-word email for anybody who wanted it. Happy to take some other questions. On the webcast, you can ask your questions by just typing them in the box. I am watching that. And on the phone lines, if you want to ask something about this simplification of your processes or your business, or just what you're going to do for the phone line is you'll press *2, that'll raise your hand. I'm really a big fan of simplicity right now. We had some things that we had overbuilt, and they were too cumbersome, and they were actually slowing us down and causing some problems. So when you simplify, you can actually pick up speed with more grace. So on the phone lines, press *2 to raise your hand. And on the webcast, type it in the box. And on Facebook Live, type it in the box. So let me go over to our webcast. I see we've got one coming in from the phone lines. Hold on one quick sec. Great. Okay, so hi there. This is a number that ends in 7070 from Colorado.
Hi, Amy. It's Kate Reed.
I thought this might be you. Happy Monday.
Yeah. Happy Monday to you as well. Great topic. Quick question for you about trade shows. We're just revamping our trade show signage and whatnot, and I'm wondering, in your expert opinion, what is the simplest way to go to a trade show?
I love that question, because a lot of times people try to put everything onto their signage. They want like everything up there, and it's so cluttered visually that you can't even focus on it, right? So stay focused on the benefit of the product. And I happen to know Kate's product for everybody who's listening. So you want to stay focused on the benefit for your product. You want to do as much demo as you can. So you want to show them. Make sure that you're not adding a whole lot of extraneous fluff in your booth. Whenever you're looking at simplification, it's about what does your market need to see and hear about the product to make a decision, right? So for signage, you're going to want to maybe put up any quote that you can about test results. You know, if you've got a great stat like that you can do, that would be awesome on a sign. Logos of people who are already using it or who tested it for you would be another really great piece, because it'll give you third-party credential. You know what I mean? That word.
Yes.
And then make sure they know how to contact you, right? Whether it's website address, phone number, etc. A lot of people leave that off of signs, believe it or not. So.
Yep. No, that's something we've definitely kept on there. And, you know, I know a lot of people don't like literature and things like that. So is that something also to just trim away and, you know, keep, you know, the message more on the sign, you know, the banner stand or whatever, as versus lots of literature? But I know you want them to take something away. Any recommendations in that arena?
Yeah, for everybody, you always want to take your market into consideration. And Kate, your market are kinesthetic people. They like to do stuff with things, right? So I would still have a brochure of some kind, a sell sheet, something physical, right? Because that's their that's their wiring. And then I would not have a huge packet like sitting out there for everybody to take. I would put maybe a couple 2-pocket folders together, more than a couple, depending on the size of the show and how many buyers you have. You'd want to have those 2-pocket folders of all your information like tucked away so that you can give them to serious buyers, right?
Right.
But I would do a really good sell sheet. I'd do probably an 8.5 by 11 for the majority of people to have, because your market is so kinesthetic.
Yes. Okay. And that's kind of what we've been going towards now. It's so funny that you said the 2-pocket folder, because that will include, you know, study results and, like you just said, all the information that the market would need to make a decision. So, but those would be reserved for serious buyers. So that's great, Amy. Thank you for your help.
You're welcome. You probably, how big is the booth?
You know, the next trade show it's a 6-foot tabletop.
Okay, so 6-foot tabletop, you don't have any more room than 2 signs. If they're on the table, that's pretty much it, especially with the size of your product.
Right.
So on that kind of layout, one of the simplest ways to display your things are what's called a waterfall plexiglass display. It's got like, it's a stand-up that has maybe 3 spots for literature. And you can get them at Staples. They're really inexpensive, but they're great. And then I would do maybe 1 pop-up sign behind the table.
So a pop-up, like a banner stand or something like that behind it?
Yeah.
Amy, or?
Yes. One of the pull-ups, you know, that's got a stand base that pulls up. It's got a support pole. Any recommendation on height on that, Amy? You know, how wide and how tall to go? Well, if it's we have one that they come in all different widths, first off, for everybody. You are looking probably at least 30 to 36 inches wide, because it depends on the layout of your logo and the photos or whatever it is you're going to put on it. I would recommend for you that you have at least like 30 to 36 inches wide. The height is variable, which is really kind of cool on some of the new ones. You don't have to pick a set height. We have one that adjusts, and that works really well for a lot of different spaces, because you don't want to have multiples of these things just because the height's different.
Exactly.
So invest in a good one, because you can. The other thing most people don't know, Kate, is on those signs, those banners can be switched out. So
Yes.
You can always change it later if you need to. I would say go at least 6 feet tall. At least. Probably more like 8.
Okay.
Because you've got...
And would you put that on a tabletop as well?
No, I would put that behind my table. I don't want to give up the valuable space.
Okay, so it's behind... It's not. Is it directly behind the table, or would it be to the side of the table, Amy?
It depends on the.
Clarify.
Yeah, it depends on the space. You kind of have to look at the traffic flow.
Okay.
And I know you've got some consulting time with us. This would be a great place to use some of that.
Okay.
Is to plan that booth layout.
Oh, okay, perfect. I didn't know.
Yeah, we do this.
Absolutely.
We do it all the
That's
time
terrific,
for other
Amy.
clients. But for everybody's information, when you have one of those stand-up signs, try to use the space behind your table. If you can cheat it a little bit to the side, do that. Pay attention if you plan on ever using a sign that way. Don't put your contact stuff way at the bottom and count on only that, because it's going to be behind a table sometimes. So
I see what you're saying. Gotcha. Perfect. That's great.
yeah, you want
Very helpful.
to
Thank you, Amy.
keep most of your important information on the height of the table and up on the banner. Okay? Does that make sense?
Perfect. That's really helpful.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
And having that asset will make it simpler for the next ones too.
And that's what we're looking to do. I don't want to lug a whole lot of stuff around any longer. It's, I want just a few essential pieces and that are impactful.
Yeah, and Kate, that's a great thing for you to have for even background in videos. So.
Yep. No, that's terrific.
Okay.
That's really helpful. Thank you so much, Amy.
You're welcome. You're going to be getting an access email for that special page I talked about for consulting clients. So it's a scheduling page, and so we streamlined some of our processes. I think you'll really like it.
Oh, that sounds great.
So,
I'll look forward to receiving it.
Okay, we'll send that out to you in the next probably day or two. Okay? So I'm going to mute your line for your privacy,
Great.
Kate.
Thanks again.
Great talking with you. We've got some time to take a couple more questions. I see we've got Bill Weber on the Facebook Live. The comment is, you're giving great advice. He's a graphic designer in Los Angeles. If it's a crowded show, you want a big backdrop so that people will see you over the crowd. Definitely. The big backdrops come in different widths too for everybody who's listening to this. So it depends a bit on your space. I find that the pop-up banners, those pull-up banners, really super flexible. They can be added at the front of a meetup group. They can go in an expo area, a tabletop. So I think everybody should have one of those. And then as your booth gets bigger and you expand, Bill, you're absolutely right. Big banners make a big difference. So if you're on the phones and you want to ask a question, you press *2. That'll raise your hand. And I'm just going to scroll. Okay, so Bill's also suggesting it's more important to collect business cards than give them away. Absolutely. You want the follow-up to be in your shoes, and you want to have a very simple process for your follow-up. So there's probably 3 emails that you need to use in a follow-up campaign or a follow-up process. And, for our product success program clients, we actually have a form that we give them that they just use at the show. But definitely collect the business cards. You can also code the back of business cards with ABC for categorizing the leads. Who's hot, who's future, who's like somebody else that you want to follow up with, but they're not necessarily a buyer. So with that, press *2 to raise your hand. One last round for questions. I'm going to check our online Q&A here. Just refresh this page. On the phone lines, it's press *2. That'll raise your hand. I am watching the Facebook Live in case you didn't catch that already. So let's see. Jill Fosco was commenting online. Absolutely, self-care and decluttering is essential. Yeah, so think about it this way. If you had, say, $5,000 to buy some stock, right? And you were going to buy a rental house that you're going to rent out to people. That $5,000 can generate a certain amount of revenue for you, right? Well, you want to actually also look at any credit cards you have to pay down, consumer debts that are really just kind of extras that are sitting there. They're not helping you build your business. They weren't ever going to. They're the extraneous doodads that we buy in life. You want to actually look at, okay, the payments of $5,000 of that kind of debt, you in effect are giving yourself a raise when you pay that debt down. So you want to keep that in the mix. You know, I know it's not necessarily the most popular approach to say, hey, you know, don't spend excess money that is not on things that build assets like businesses. You know, keep your expenses reasonable, and also always pay attention to what's the return on investment. So let's see. I think we are done with questions on the phone line. So press *2 if you've got one. I think we are clear on our Facebook Live. And I'm going to share a quick little story here. So years ago, many of you know that my husband was a sales trainer for Verizon. And Jeff would talk to his store teams about this. Business owners do not evaluate purchases the same way as employees. Okay, employees that have a set check, that are not building other things as far as revenue streams, evaluate things of like how much they cost. Business owners, we evaluate things on how much speed and momentum does it give me in the business? What is the return on my investment? For example, an iPhone that is a $600 iPhone or a $700 iPhone, because it has a lot of video memory and it's the latest speed, is an asset to many business owners like me who do video work or who rely on it for communications, right? Or like in my case, I receive large email files from different clients with artwork in them, right? So for me, the memory size of an iPhone is a tool in the business, right? And I look at it like, well, what's it going to give me, right? The better camera quality is important to us because we take photos of product in stores that we need to show a client, or we're looking at the layout, or the photo is going to go to a buyer because we do sales presentations for buyers. So we're always looking at, well, do we need that technology? Is it going to push us forward? And if it's going to push us forward, what is $300? You know, what is that's above the one below it? That's nothing. That's one really good deal, right? If it helps us get one deal, then it's paid for itself a lot of times over. So when you're looking at what you're investing in and simplifying, you want to actually look at what are the tools you really need that would really move you forward, and what are the things that are just kind of in your way. If there's stuff in your house that's extra, sell it, get rid of it, give it away, unless you love it and it brings you joy. Okay, so for anybody who's really resonating with all of this today, I've been doing a program from a lady named Stephanie Bennett Vogt, and it's called A Year to Clear What's Been Holding You Back. And I did it just because I wanted to see how they do the year-long process, and I just felt like there were little things in our space, like in, you know, the master bath drawers that were just extra, and I knew that we were going to be purging some business processes too. And it's a really great program, and you can do it through Daily Ohm. If anybody's interested, I'm happy to post the link on the Facebook Live. And you can do it for like $25 for the entire year, and it's just really a lovely program. And it's gotten me thinking a lot about simplification and decluttering, and how do you refine what you're doing. And then when challenges come, there's less for you to maintain, there's less resting on you, right? So this is a really important thing, this idea of essential simplicity. So here's what I want you to do. There's 4 things, okay? Start with 3 clear written goals. They don't have to be gigantic, right? But then you're going to brainstorm a list of 1 to 2 minute activities that you could do towards each of those goals, okay? Just a list for each of them, and things that are just going to take 1 to 2 minutes to do. There's an amazing number of things you can do that will move you forward that only take a minute or 2. Then spend 5 minutes daily in action on each of those 3 goals. Just pull one of the items off your list, do a couple of them. It really does move you forward. And the 4th thing is, if you have not subscribed to the email list about this, I want you to do it, because we make sure that you're going to get value from all of the emails that we send. There is only 1 email a week at the most for the show, and it's always well received. We have really good response rates on those. So to subscribe to that list, you can go to productstoprofits.com/live, and that'll take you to a little form. And I promise you, we do not spam, we do not rent the list, we do not sell the list, okay? And then the last thing is, before we leave today, I'm going to do something a little unusual, and I want us to all take a deep breath together. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's all take a deep breath. And another one, a deep breath. And release it. Know that you are loved in the world, and that wherever you are, and if you're hearing this, you are safe, you are loved, and just know that you're in our hearts, you're in our prayers, and that you're meant to create, and you're meant to do great things. And to do that, you need the time, the space, the connection for it. So with that, everybody, take a minute as this is ending and just breathe into how good your life really, truly is. You're on the planet at a miraculous time. I mean, there is so much that's positive that's happening, and I would love us to all remember that, amplify that, and anything that is other than that, I believe, will ultimately get resolved if we all focused on how we are in this together for the good of all, okay? So if that's where you're going to stand, I'm really glad that you're here with us, and that we get to serve you and connect with you, and that you're part of our circle. I literally just teared up when I was thinking right now about how valuable and respected and loved you all are from us. We're privileged and honored that we get to play with you in the world. So with that, everybody, thank you so much. I'm going to stay on the Facebook Live for a couple of minutes here, and on the phone lines, thank you for investing part of your day with us, and look at what you can release and let go of in the world, okay? So with that, everybody, I'm going to wrap for today. We'll talk with you again in 2 weeks. Bye, everybody. So,
the conference is now completed.
There.
Goodbye.
Thanks to everybody on the Facebook Live. I really just love seeing your comments and your, like, where you're from and what you're up to and the questions that you have. And the little hearts make me ridiculously happy when I see those, especially when I'm talking about the fact that we are all one on this planet, and we are all in this together. And what one of us is going through, in a global sense, all of us are. And it's really important to keep that context, because at that moment, it's really difficult to to hate when you realize that we're all one, and that hating another is really a disconnected thing with yourself. So thank you, Bill, for that comment. It's we're really standing in a place of when we all operate with creative, passionate lives and are fully enlivened, then all war on the planet ends. That's the stand of this business, and that's where we're coming from. And so if you're there with us, then great. And I know you must be because you're still listening. And I see we've got quite a few people hanging here. And if I can serve any of you, please let us know. Jeff will add the link for the reminders list into this. We do make a point of adding great value and content when we send those, and we try to keep them very, very timely. So if you're interested in a phone consult, like I see Bill is, you can definitely connect with us through our website. We have 3 video series there that are 3 parts each, and surprisingly, each one is 2 to 3 minutes long. So you can binge watch the entire thing in about 20 minutes, I guess it is. And there's one there on building a product business and what that takes. So you can definitely connect with us there. At the end of the Build a Product Business series, if you've never had a discovery call with us, you can book one there. It's really good. We give you 30 minutes to 45 minutes of context. Let's see. Oh, you're welcome, Dale. I really appreciate that. I love seeing your name come across. Yeah, professional bike shows, difficult to stand out in a large show. You're absolutely right. That's why it takes being really street smart. We have a client that actually got mentioned 3 times from the stage live from one strategy that we did, and she got everybody at this one-day conference coming to her booth at the end of the day, and she met Johnson & Johnson there. And so some of these things that seem like they're small can actually aggregate to really big things and big deals. So thank you for investing your time with us this morning, everybody. I'm going to sign off for now, and there's a good chance I'm going to be back later this week doing another live. I've got another topic kind of mulling around in my head. But with that, everybody, just know that you're in our heart, you're in our prayers, and we are truly blessed to be getting to know you all. Talk to you soon.